Welcome to Amanda Hall Psychic mini workshop series here on Facebook Live on a Wednesday afternoon at 12:30, high noon. Welcome to everyone. We're actually up to workshop number 34. Isn't it amazing how the year is absolutely flying? I'd like to welcome everybody here. Big hello to wherever you are around the world. My name's Amanda Hall Psychic and it's lovely to have your company again this afternoon. Today we're going to be working with the new moon in Libra. So each week what we do is we attempt to look at a different area of psychic development. We work with the moon cycles each month. Then we work at other different things throughout the course of the month as well, subjects that I know that are going to resonate with some and maybe not with some others. But, you know, we try and keep this variety is the spice of life here at Amanda Hall Psychic. So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you once again. If you're new to the program, we do this every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30 here in Australia on Eastern Standard Time now, not daylight saving time. I'm here in Queensland. So whatever that transpires to wherever you are around the world, it's Eastern Standard Time for Australia and 12:30 or half past noon. High noon here in Australia. Now, we need to get some T's and C's out of the road. This is a teaching workshop. It's not a workshop where I conduct or I offer free readings. If you want a free reading or the opportunity to have a free reading, might I suggest that you make your way over to A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV on a Wednesday morning or Tuesday night if you're on the Northern Hemisphere, where I do actually do a half an hour radio/TV show prior to this. And they do offer their free readings for people to call in from all around the world. We just took a lovely call from a lady in Mauritius, and I took one from California. So we take 2 calls during the half-hour show, but they're absolutely free. But I do that on my other show. The other show is a completely different show. It's not a workshop show like this is. We have a few different things that we cover on that show. So I like to keep the 2 presentations almost completely different so that you've got an hour of great content of different things that we're working with. So this week we're actually working with the new moon in Libra for those of you that have just joined us. So it's really lovely to have you. If you'd like to leave your name in the comments box and wave and say where you're from or wave hello or something like that, I will get back to you in the next 48 hours. I don't give shout outs during this presentation. I like to keep on topic of what we're discussing, and it's great because we have people tuning in from all over the world. I know we've got some lovely ladies in England that when they wake up the first thing in the morning on a Wednesday morning that they're tuning in and watching the show and while they're having their brekkie. So a big hello to everybody from there, and we're getting more and more people from all around the world tuning into this weekly workshop. So I'll get cracking before I keep talking about nothing. Okay, my name's Amanda Hall Psychic. I've been in the psychic industry here in Australia for over 40 years. I am qualified to talk about the subjects that I'm going to be working with. I've worked with astrology for over 30 years. I've been a teacher. I've held many, many workshops. I've written books on astrology and tarot. In recent years, I've brought out my own range of soy candles that enhance the psychic journey. And this is how we're working these into a workshop each week. We're working with the different candles from my range of 27 in the range. This week we'll be working with 2 candles. We'll be working with the full moon candle, and we'll be working with the Libra candle. And I will give you information besides how to burn a candle to why we work with the energy of the new moon. Now, many people have different ways of working with things, but this is how I like to work with the moon energy. I like to do it in a 7-day cycle. Now, I like to look at 2 days on the approach of the new moon, 3 days of the new moon, and then 2 days on the descending or the winding down of the new moon. Now, the reasons why I do this is I feel that you can't just sort of get up one day and say, oh, good, it's the full moon at 10 o'clock this morning, and all of a sudden the moon becomes full, or we get the new moon at that time, and all of a sudden we're into that energy and we've had no build up to it. And this is why I always like to work with 2 days approximately before, so that we're starting to get the energy starting to build its momentum. We're getting into gear ourselves. We've written our little list, and how we work with this is with the new moon energy. The new moon means new things. Each month when the moon becomes new, it is a time when we start to try and manifest towards us things that we wish to bring towards us in our lives. Now, a new moon is new opportunities, new commencing of new things, or the attraction of new things. So I always suggest that we start to make a list. Now, I always say to people, keep your list fair. Oh, I've got somebody tickling me today from above. I always suggest to people, try and keep your list short. You don't want to write a novel. It's not about telling the universe every single solitary piece of information that you want connected to the project. Let's keep it in bullet point form. You know, I want to attract a new job. I want to attract a new relationship. I want to attract a new car, whatever it might be, but let's keep it fairly sort of basic so that when we go to write the list, we've got the rest of it in our head, but we're just giving it the headlines. Now, for some people with a new moon, they sort of say to me, well, that'd be great, but I can't really put that on my list until I've actually released or let go of a part of this project that might be blocking me putting down I want to attract something new. Well, that's fine. Put that on the list too, that I want to release something as well. But even though it's not technically a release type of moon, if it's something that's blocking what you wish to attract to you, well, then we've got to release it first, don't we? Sometimes we've got to throw things out before we can replenish it with something new. So you have to look at it in that way. Now we weave into the equation the Librian energy. Now, the Libra energy is this. And I want to be very clear on this. The Librian energy is not to be taken as, oh, okay, it's just the scales going up and down in a seesaw and they can never make up their mind and they can never commit to anything. Any Libra I've ever known is always seemingly out of balance. Well, yes, they are out of balance while they're trying to decide what the decision or the conclusion will be to the situation. Now, anytime when we work with Librian energy, we work with, it's a fact-finding mission. We are doing research. We are asking questions. We are looking at everything from every conceivable angle. And if I could use this card as an example, we'd put the card up this way. We'd turn it up that way. We'd turn it over. We'd turn it on its side. We'd turn it back this way. We'll turn it that way. So we're looking at it from every conceivable possible angle before we make our decision and say, well, the card is meant to be this way or this way. So if we look at it, the situation or the issue or whatever it is we're working on in the same sort of manner, then we will find we will get to the truth or the conclusion in the matter at hand. Now, that's the Librian way. It's about receiving and listening to information. Now, information doesn't always have to come from a face-to-face conversation, a text message, an email. It can come from a YouTube. It can come from a post on social media. It could come from a line out of a movie that you're watching. It could come from a segment out of the news. It could be part of a song on the radio. It can come in many, many different forms. And it can just be that you could be listening to a song that's one of your favorite songs and all of a sudden 4 words jump out at you and you go, aha, that's the answer I've been looking for. And that is said to be said as being a sort of heaven-sent message, whether it's coming from our spirit guides or whether it's coming from our own psychic ability, our gut feeling, our intuition, whatever label you want to put on it. It doesn't really matter where the information's come from. It's just the fact that we've acknowledged it, we've understood it, and we've said, right, that's it. That's the answer that I've been looking for. That's, you know, another piece to the puzzle that I've been trying to come to terms with, understanding what's happening. So if we were going to be working with the new moon, and the new moon here in Australia is the 9th, 10th and 11th, I always allow the 3rd day, even though a moon energy is only approximately 36 hours, no, over that, it's 2.5 days. So that would be, oh, I can't do the maths today. But anyway, it's 2.5 days. So I allow another 12 hours on that because you've got to allow for the energy to taper off. It just doesn't switch on and off like a tap. It's sort of, there's a lead up to it. There's a lead up to it and there's a descending or a letting go of behind it. This is why I like to work with the 7 days. So it's 2 days on the approach, 3 days of the moon energy and 2 days on the descend. So we're right in the middle of the new moon at the moment. So if you've written your things on your list, and you may have written 3 things on your list, and particularly with the new moon in Libra, it's a time of rebooting things. Or it's like sort of, you know, turning your computer off and you reboot it and you get a fresh start and all of a sudden it runs better and it functions better and you think, gee, where'd that speed come from? Because I didn't have all these other bits and pieces open in the background, draining and taking all the energy of the computer. Well, it's a bit the same with some of the issues in our lives. Sometimes we can start things and we do it with great gusto and enthusiasm, and then all of a sudden things start to come to a stop or a standstill and whatever, and it's still trickling along or moving along at snail's pace. And we sort of think this is never, ever going to really manifest the way that we want it to. Well, this is the perfect time for those sort of situations to sort of shut it down, reboot it, and let's find a fresh approach to it and put it on our list of what we want to reboot or recommence or draw towards us in this next month. Now, this is where what I spoke about before, where there may be something that we need to release, let go of, or close down on the releasing side. Well, we may need to do that first before we can put it on our list of attraction. So this is why the Librian new moon is a very important new moon in the astrological year, because it gives us that chance. We're in the 10th month. It gives us that chance to reboot some of the things that we might have even started 6 months ago, 12 months ago, or even 18 months ago. And it's a time to sort of put fresh eyes on everything, a fresh new energy. And, maybe we found that we've needed to let go of some things, add other things. Maybe we've changed the outcome that we hope to achieve by this project or this new opportunity. So there's many, many different ways to look at it. If I can deviate just a little second before we go to work with the energy of the candles and how to make that happen with the new moon, I've had a few people ask me this question in the last week. So I think it's the perfect time to bring it up. They were talking about burning their candles, and they were talking about, some people had my candles, some people had other candles from other candle manufacturers, some people had them from the variety store. But they were sort of saying to me, Amanda, is there any reason why sometimes a candle will burn beautifully and then all of a sudden it keeps going out? And it's sort of like, yes, you can say that there's too much of a pool of wax or soy wax in the bottom of it, and that's, it's drowning in that. Some people sort of said to me, is it just the wick? But why would it burn perfectly fine for 3 days and then all of a sudden keep going out? Yes, it can sometimes be a fault of the type of wick that might have been used. It might be too thin. It might be, wasn't all exactly the same measurement all the way through, which can sometimes happen in manufacture. The quality control is not as consistent as it should be. But a lot of times it's what I term as a psychic message. And I know myself that lots of times candles sort of have a mind of their own. I know that many times I've had candles go out and, you get sick and tired of lighting them time and time again, and you drain the excess wax or soy wax off and you think, well, there's no reason why now it won't go, and it'll go for 5 minutes or half an hour and then all of a sudden it's out again. It's not under a draft of any kind to blow it out. And it's usually then I find it's what I call some sort of psychic blockage. It's like, whether it's our own thoughts or whether it's somebody else sending us messages trying to block what we're trying to do. Not necessarily is it psychic attack, but it's sort of, it could be somebody opposing what we're trying to achieve in our life, and it's their thoughts, because thoughts are very powerful, that could be transpiring, and it's showing us in that manifestation of the physical in front of us that the candle keeps going out. Now, say for argument's sake, you were burning a wealth candle and you were trying to improve your finances, and in your life at the moment you're owed all this money and it's not coming back to you, and it's like you get it in dribs and drabs, and then you light the candle and the candle burns for 5 minutes, half an hour, and it goes out again, then you got to keep relighting. Well, isn't that sort of paralleling what's happening in your life? So how can we get that candle to sort of work? Well, I'm a persistent person. I would keep sitting there. Every time the candle went out, I'd say to it, well, okay, you're not going to beat me. And I would use words out aloud. You're not going to beat me. I'm clearing the negative energy. I'm going to relight you. And this time you're going to stay alight. And I would keep doing that until I achieved it, that the candle did as it was told. Because sometimes it's just a reflection of what is paralleling in our lives. So it's something to think of. There's many, many other times that you go to light the candle and it might crackle and hiss and spit and things like that, and you think, that's odd, it's never done that before. I've been burning the same candle for a couple of weeks, or I've burned it many times before and it's never happened. Now, that can be telling you that there's a lot of negative energy around you, or a lot of people are sending you negative thoughts, or aren't happy with you in some way, or are jealous of you, or whatever. That would be the time that I would do some form of clearing. Now, whether that is a clearing, whether you use sage or incense, or whether you use vanilla, whatever form that you use, I personally would probably be more inclined to burn a protection candle, because that would sort of clear all the negative energy out, or I would get my clearing candle out and burn that and then put the protection on at the same time or after it. I would probably go that way more so than I would sage these days, but that's my personal opinion. You do what feels right for you and what tools you've got laying around the house. And if all else fails and you've got nothing in the house, you don't have any incense, you don't have a clearing candle, you don't have a protection candle, you don't have any sage, most of us have got some form of vanilla in the pantry. Whether it's imitation or whether it's top shelf, you only need a little bit of vanilla, even the imitation stuff. Put it in a bottle, an atomizer bottle with some water, and spray it in the air like you would air freshener. What that does is it's a clearing of getting rid of negative energy, but at the same time, it puts a layer of sweetness or attracts positive things back towards you. So that's always a good standby. So going back to how we would work with our candles, on working with what we were discussing as far as the new moon in Libra. So the new moon in Libra, I would be working personally with my new moon candle, which is an extra large candle, which burns for approximately 50 to 60 hours if I was to burn the candle with the 2 wicks. But I like to burn 1 wick one day and 1 wick the second day. Now, there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, it's more economical. I can get up to 100 hours out of my candle, so that makes it more cost effective. And I'm always aware of the cost factor. None of us have an unlimited bank account, or not many of us anyway, to have things burning in our lives that, you know, are attracting better opportunities for us. But we still have to be mindful of our money and how we spend it. But also too, the secondary reason why, and probably in a sense, probably not so much the more important reason, but just as important, is the glass containers can get very hot. The soy wax itself does not get hot, but the glass container itself can get hot. And I found with the 2 weeks going, and sometimes with a drop in barometric pressure like we have here at the moment here on the Gold Coast, where it can be really, really hot, and then by 3 o'clock we're in the middle of a thunderstorm and the barometric pressure drops suddenly, the candle container itself can cool down, and that can cause it to crack. So I found that at less cracking if I only burn one wick at either alternate sides. I haven't actually had one crack then. Not that I've had many crack over the years that I've been working with them, but I'm mindful of sharing that information with you. Now, we write out our list. We've got our little list of what we're trying to attract towards us in this next month, with the opportunities that we want to bring to us. Some of you, it might be a new job, it might be a new relationship, a new car, a better relationship with your family, whatever it might be. It's important to you, that's new and needs to have a fresh approach. You write that out, you read it out aloud, you pop it underneath the candle. Then you pop the candle on a coaster. Then you pop it on the furniture or the cupboard or whatever. So this again stops the candle itself becoming too hot, that where we might scorch the furniture. I'm always mindful of that, but also it puts another barrier between the candle and the table, and that also works to insulate and prevent the candle from cracking as well. So these are important things. We always only burn a candle for 15 minutes to 2 hours when we can be safely with the candle. Don't ever leave a candle unattended, even for a moment. You know, accidents can happen no matter how careful we think that we are, and how, you know, we've got a good space around them, things like that. And it's interesting to note that sometimes people are a little bit absent-minded or don't think things through and think, oh, look, I'll just pop it on the table, and don't realize they've got an overhead fan going above them. And, you know, a piece of paper can blow and ignite on the candle, and the next thing you know, the house is on fire. So we have to be very mindful of that, not underneath air conditioners, in drafts, underneath fans, near open windows or curtains. Always keep them away from small children and pets. Really important. So our Libra candle is the air sign candle. Now, this represents all the air signs, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. So I would also write a secondary list identical to the one that I popped under the new moon candle, and I would read it out aloud again as I'm going to light this candle, again for the same process, between 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. And that sort of secures then that while the candle's burning and we're focusing on it, or we're looking at it while we're typing or whatever, that we're really reinforcing that intent, purpose, and direction. And that's really important, because that's what we're trying to do, is bring the intent of the new opportunities into our lives. Now, for some people that say to me, look, I don't have that much space, or I only want a small candle, or I'm going traveling, what can you suggest, Amanda? Well, the other things that we have in our range is what's known as our travel kit. This is a travel or gift box set of 3 candles. Now you can make this up of any 3 that you wish. This week I've made the setup of 2 Libra candles and 1 new moon in the middle, but you can choose any 3 candles you want from our range of 27. That's entirely your choice. You might want to make it up with your star sign, a love candle, and a wealth candle. You might want to make it up with a clearing candle, angels and guides, and your soulmate. It's entirely your choice. Now, the same rules apply, 15 minutes to 2 hours. These candles will burn for approximately 15 hours. They have a little glass lid on the top for you to snuff them out with. So they make the perfect companion, taking them into the office or popping them in your bag when you want to go traveling or visiting a friend. Now, for those of you that say to me, look, that's all great and fine, Amanda, but I don't have 15 minutes every day to sit with my candle and babysit it. Is there another alternative? Well, yes, there is. You can pop down to the local supermarket or variety store and pick yourself up a melt warmer. Now, a melt warmer is an electric situation where we take half a teaspoon of the new moon wax and half a teaspoon of the Librian wax and put it in the top of the melt warmer. You would write your list out again, pop it underneath the melt warmer, pop the melt warmer on a coaster. Not that I think it's just a good practice to get into, that every time you're working with something to do with candles or wax, that you're putting everything on a coaster. You can safely leave this going in your office or in your home without needing to babysit it, because it just sends a lovely fragrance throughout the place. And I think it constantly reminds you then of what you're focusing on with the new moon, that what your intent, your purpose and direction is meant to be. So that's another alternative. I use those quite often in my day-to-day thing. I have one going in my office every day where I have it set up with just protection soy wax, purely for that reason, so that I know that when I go to start my psychic work, that I pop another half a teaspoon of my protection wax in my melt warmer, say my meditation, and I'm all good to go for the day, that everything is protected, and so are my customers and any work that I'm doing. And that's an important little ritual we all need to get into if we're working with energy, any form of energy. Even if you're a hairdresser, you know, you'd be surprised how much negative energy you absorb and take home at the end of the day, because you're working with people. Anybody that's working with people in general, whether you're working in a local supermarket, you're a hairdresser, any sort of service industry, you are absorbing energy. And this is why people sort of, you know, sometimes you might have coffee with a friend and you go home and you think, oh gee, I feel like I've been run over by a bus. And it's because that person unconsciously has taken your energy for whatever reason. And it's usually not intentional, but some people just do it more than others. And it's, you know, it's not a good time. We need to be able to be protecting our energy all the time. It's a very important thing, working with energy, that we all need to protect it and we all need to be releasing that. So I'm pleased to say on next week's workshop, we're going to be working with angels and guides. And it's been something that many of you have messaged me and said, when are we going to do a workshop purely on angels and guides, Amanda? Well, next week's the big week for that. I've tried to sort of try and make the workshops interesting and different and sort of fit in with the time of the year. I mean, each month we have the sun sign, we have the new moon, and we have the full moon energy that we have to work with. So if we're only looking at 4 weeks in a month, then I only have one other opportunity to bring in another subject like angels and guides or clearing or forgiveness or soulmates or whatever it is. So I try and make it look that it fits with that particular month or the energy that we're in. And I felt angels and guides was a really good one to bring in between the Libra energy and the Scorpio energy, that it was sort of a good balance of both, of sort of like balancing the scales, but also getting us ready for the very intense psychic energy that we're going to be working with the Scorpio energy in weeks to come. So for those of you that might want to book a personal reading with me or purchase a candle, you can head to my website, amandahallpsychic.com.au. While you're there, you'll have a little pop-up thing come on the screen. Please feel free to join our newsletter. For that, you will receive a free astrology chart valued at $30. You're under no obligation to stay as part of our family and receive the newsletter when I get around to writing it and things like that. But, you know, you're more than welcome to sign up for the free astrology chart. Also, you know, while you're at the website, if you want to book a service or you want to book a reading or buy a candle, please don't forget at the checkout to type in the word in capital letters Facebook. There you will receive a discount for being part of the workshop series on Facebook Live. Plus, also be aware here in Australia, any product that you purchase, we do offer free postage. It's everything that you purchase is free postage anywhere in Australia. Will be sent to you either via courier or by Australia Post, whichever I feel is going to offer the best service for your location. For our international family, unfortunately, we can't offer you free postage, but what we do offer is a flat fee of postage. So can I suggest if you want more than one article, save up your pennies and do it all in one go. It doesn't matter how much you order, it will still be that flat fee anywhere in the world, and we will send it to you email. So until next week, be kind to each other, enjoy the new moon in Libra, set your intentions for something new, at least one new thing that you'd like to attract to yourself and hopefully in the next month, and maybe even one longer term project that you've been working on. So until next week, be kind to each other. Love you all. Bye for now.